Okay, the big day's come, battery's coming out. So let's just see where the battery is right now. And as you can see, it's very low to the ground. Oh, yeah.
Just push the car out, I'll come with the fork.
Oh yeah.
And we put it straight on the hoist so it's at a perfect height. And we got it. And then we just push the car back in.
Okay, if you think so.
Yeah.
Okay. With about 1 inch of ground clearance. Checking the mirrors in case there's someone behind. Joke. There we go. It takes about 20 bar of brake pressure to stop the thing. I better get ready to get neutral.
Keep coming, just like that. Keep exactly like that. Right, hold it up. Yeah, keep coming over there. Yeah.
That's it, shut down. Okay, that's the last time it's going to run under that battery for quite some time. Why don't I go and get one of the seats and put it in to make it easier to move around? Of October 2020. John put all these bolts in. Now it's your turn to take them out.
You would have never have guessed this is going, maybe you knew it's going to Australia, but he never knew it's getting taken apart in a little hack workshop going into a Porsche. He would never have thought of it, you know?
Probably said, what's it for?
What's it for? Do we need to take this one off here first?
Probably, yeah. So while Matt's doing the disassembly there in time lapse, how clever is that? I'm going to tell you a little story. Late last year, December, there was a fire at Sydney Airport when an EV exploded, or so the headline said. They said, bloody EVs catching fire all the time. Well, this one wasn't in a public car park. This was in the Europe Cars rental car park, and some bright spark had a damaged rental car, presumably driven through floods or punctured or somehow damaged, and they had a go at doing something with the battery itself, pulled it out, partially disassembled it. On the news, some of the reports said, clearly this car, somebody's tried to pull the battery out of the car while it's on fire. How would you do that? It's got 22 high tensile bolts securing it under the car. You're not going to be able to pull that out when the car's on fire. So as usual, the usual kind of rhetoric and disinformation about EVs catching fire. It's only when you start mucking around with them and puncturing them, that's when you've got problems. So just another sensational news. As we all know, the incidence of fire in EVs is far, far less than in petrol or diesel cars. And the exception being hybrids, which are sketchy for some reason. Hybrids do seem to catch fire, but pure EVs don't. Isn't that right, Matt?
I don't know.
He's got no idea. What I'd like to do is get these jumpers off and just take all these guys out. So the way the voltage goes, it goes in here, so there's a 0 volts here, and it goes up and back and up, and then it goes right along to the end ones, and it goes back and up and back to here. So between there and there is 400 volts. You can see the batteries arranged, there's masters and slaves. And the masters are black and the slaves are grey, and they're in pairs. So the BMS goes to the front one of each pair, and then it piggybacks to the second one in the pair. So at the moment you can see it's just one hand behind the back, one point of contact, don't touch anything, no earth point, rubberized shoes. My theory is, Once we get all these jumpers out, we'll be safe. That's the way we do it. I hereby declare this battery safe.
Yeah, nice.
So there's no more than 22 volts on any battery.
Super.
So we're good, so the gloves can come off.
Looks good.
If I zap myself now, it's through sheer stupidity. It'll be a 22 volt zap, not a 400 volt
It's
zap.
likely to happen then.
It's quite likely. Scary part over. It wasn't scary at all, was it? DC volts, 22.7. They're all showing the same, 22.7 or 22.8.
Are these labelled each?
I'm going to put labels on every one. There we go. Twice. Later on we'll figure out how these things are going to be when we repackage them. But for the moment I just need to label things so I know where everything goes. I have to say, looking through this, you just cannot fault the quality of the engineering. Look, every bolt head's been hand tagged once it's been torqued down properly. So this is the BMS, the battery management system, and it links to the contactor box. That's where the big relays, if you like, are that make the connections. And now, with a bit of luck, come out. Look at that. Let's say that just pulls up. Presto. Contactors. Okay, so which is which? That's our negative there. There'll be a negative contactor and our positive contactor. It's good to see. Now I've seen it. Don't need to know any more about it. Just keep that on. Why don't we just keep that on so it doesn't get dirty. Okay, so that's our loom. That's our main BMS and a loom all out. Look at that. Perfect. Now these little connectors between the masters and the slaves is not CAN data, because it's interesting when you see the CAN lead going into the masters, it's only got about 4 wires, so it's got a lot of information. But between the two, this is the cell voltages for each of the 6 cell packs. 12 wires for the 6 battery gel packs, and another 2 for the thermistor to carry temperature data. And every single one of these little wires matters. You get one wrong and the BMS is going to have a fit and go, no voltage, you know. Done. That was actually easier than I thought. It all came apart beautifully. So now we've just got to figure out how to lift them out. I suppose they're not, let's see how heavy they are. Oh yeah, not bad at all. Look at that. Look how they come out. How good is that?
Yeah, it looks nice.
How strong are you feeling? Do some curls, mate.
Nice there. I got aluminium. Like, oh shit, that's heavier than you think, you know? Sorry, at full stretch, because I'm such a unit, you know?
12.5 kilos. Don't turn them upside down, they explode. Aren't you worried it's just going to catch fire if you drop it?
Looks like they've been laser welded together.
In the Kalb factory. They're
beautifully made, aren't they?
Cattle. I think the world's 2nd or 3rd largest battery manufacturer.
Yeah, right.
Find them in lots of cars. Old technology now, they're nickel, manganese, cobalt batteries.
Yep.
So they're the type that you're not really, you don't charge them to 100% every time you use them.
Sure.
Just when you have to.
Are these like the mini round cells, or these like...
No, they're prismatic. Actually, there's 12 in there.
Yeah, sure.
So 2 in parallel, times 6 in series.
Gotcha.
It's in the order.
When this is charged,
kilograms.
would it weigh more than when it's flat?
That's a very good question, and that's one for the physicists.
Dr. Carl.
In fact, yes, but in the order of, you know, immeasurably small.
Yeah.
Energy equals mass times the square of the speed of the light. Mass goes down,
Yeah.
energy goes down. We're putting energy in.
Yeah.
Hey physicists out there, does it increase the mass of your battery by fully charging it? even if it's tiny, tiny, fractions of a picogram. Let us know.
Someone will know.
Only if you're not. No, don't you stop Googling. Actually, don't let us know. I know, and it's fascinating, so I have to share. It seems completely wrong to suggest that a battery's mass would increase when you charge it, as you're not actually adding any material at all, you're just moving the chemical ions around inside. So how could the mass change when you charge it? But let's find out exactly how much it does. Well, Einstein's special theory of relativity says this, that the energy in any object is directly proportional to its mass. Actually, he phrased it the other way around, that the mass is proportional to the energy, like this. So Einstein says that when you increase the energy state of this battery, the mass will increase. Sounds like bullshit, right? Well, specifically, let's say we charge the battery from totally flat to fully charged. Our battery is rated at 44.5 kilowatt hours. So let's put that in the equation. Now in the equation, the amount of energy is actually measured in joules. Now 1 joule is 1 watt of power for 1 second. Like if you had a 10 watt light globe, in 1 second it produces 10 joules of energy, mainly in the form of light and heat. In 2 seconds it'd be 20. Get it? Now our battery has a capacity of 44,500 watts times 3,600 seconds in an hour, so to fully charge it, it would be adding about 160 million joules of energy into the cells. That's a pretty big number. Now, the mass side of the equation is measured in kilograms, so it sounds like we're going to add quite a bit of weight to this battery, but we have to divide by c squared first. Now c is a constant representing the speed of light, about 180,000 miles per second if you went to school when I did, or these days they say 300 million meters per second, or 3 by 10 to the 8. Now squared would be 9 by 10 to the 16, which is about 10 to the 17. That is a much bigger number. So do the division and you get this. Fully charging will increase the mass of this battery by about 1.6 by 10 to the minus 9 kilograms. That's 0.000000016 kilograms, or just over a millionth of a gram, which is actually way more than I expected. Now you won't be able to measure that because it's too small. While you're charging the battery, it will probably have lost or gained a lot more due to dust or condensation or evaporation. But hey, wasn't that interesting? Stu's science lesson over. Now you real scientist people out there, tell me if I'm wrong. 40 and 50 kilos, which we lose, but we're going to replace it with our own cooling plate system. I can't use any of this, unfortunately. Maybe these fittings, but that's all. We haven't had any sparks this episode. Because every episode needs a few sparks, but not electrical short circuit sparks. That's bad. Just sparks.
So they've just cast this and it's flat underneath this, and I've just pressed the channels into a bit of plate and soldered soldered it or
sweat welded or something,
or like sort of brazed it on. It's smart. It's
yeah,
cheap.
While Matt's busy working on his Renaults, and he's just put a new head on this thing, as you can see. Just about to fire that up. A couple of these things to fix, one with a big hole in the block. And meantime, if I had one regret with this project, it's that I didn't start with a better 928. I mean, I really didn't want to wreck one of my nice ones at home. When I look at things like this, under these guards, just see how that fiberglass has been put on. The whole plan was not to wreck a good petrol 928, but to save one that couldn't otherwise be saved. It's been one of those days, hasn't it? It's one of those Matt to the rescue days where you're doing stuff and then somebody arrives and you just drop everything and do it, don't you?
You have to do it.
Hey, can we use this Land Cruiser and take that battery tray down to the scrapyard and maybe get $50 for it, you reckon?
I think we get about $2 a kilo for.
Oh, right.
Ish.
We're going to be rich. All right, we need to talk about this contactor box and this BMS, battery management system. This is pretty much the orientation they were in the other car, and it's just not going to fit. Until we got that battery box apart, I didn't realise their shape and size, but this lovely cast tray, I don't think we can use that, so I think we might end up losing that. Unfortunately, I just can't see that. It's not going to fit there because this is where the battery, huge batteries is going to be right there. So that can't go there, but it could go up there. That would work even on the other side, because we can extend this out, put a shape in there and use that tunnel as part of the battery box. I think that'll work. You don't swear as much as most mechanics.
Sometimes when no one's around.
See if we can find a way to fit that in there. I knew it'd take some space, but it's just an awkward shape, isn't it?
Yeah, well I think that's even worse. Like if we push that all the way, like...
Because the batteries have got room to come forward a little bit. I was just trying to get the weight as far back as possible, you know. I mean, apart from the fact that this can slide forward and back a little bit, it can move wholly in that range. And I love your rail idea, that works really well. But we'll get it in.
We could mount it sort of flush to the back, and if we, you know, put it somewhere there, we could push this all the way back and have some sort of, you know, locking mechanism so it can't come forward.
Yep.
We don't see it. We still have our room here.
We do have plenty of room below. It can extend underneath there, so that's not a problem. You could mount this top side here flush with this rail if you need it to be. It could be underneath and it's still not in the way. Thanks, Matt.
No worries.
Okay, I think we might have solved it. These two guys, the battery management system and the contactor box, can go together like that. There aren't any cooling issues because apart from switching the high voltage, there's no cooling requirement for this thing. But I think it can go here at the back of the box like that. That way the high voltage connector here will line up nicely and the whole lot can be then mounted using these bolts here to the back of that box inside the frame. And if we need to go forward a little bit, we can. And then the only connection to the batteries is the high voltage terminals from there and this loom that goes to the 9 masters. So I think that actually could work quite well. That way I don't have to extend all this loom here, which would be, well, it wouldn't be a problem, but it just introduces a risk that things won't work afterwards if something's not right. You know, one bad connection, I don't really want to do that. So I think that's going to be a solution for our connection. And what's more, the high voltage connection at the bottom here is facing the right way. It'll be facing backwards from about there. And there's plenty of clearance underneath, so it's at no risk of being hurt. So I think that's probably the way we're going to do it. So how's your day going?
Be better in about 48 seconds.
I know you've banged your head on this a few times.
Luckily I didn't snap it.
And you've had to redo your rocket cover because you left a bungle out. Anyway, you get that. Because somewhere on the other side of the world, there's a bunch of Trappist monks and they do nothing all day except genuflect, pray, contemplate the meaning of life, and think of how much pleasure they're going to create for you. There's a bloke who's having a bad day. There you are.
Cheers.
Go Trappist monks.
That's it.
On ya. We don't normally drink much, but some days you just...
Car's fixed.
Is it? New cylinder head. Good job.
Brand new.
The old one had cracks.
3 cracks, yeah.
So that's the end of today's episode. Bye-bye, viewer. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. And you made it all the way to the end. You rock. Now, whether it's petrol or electric, there's a lot of Porsche content on the channel, and there's going to be a lot more. So maybe you'd like to subscribe. You might also enjoy all the other non-Porsche content we've already got. Heaps of car reviews. Electric, classic, sports, exotic. There's a bucket load there. See you next time. Man, you need a knife and fork to eat that.
Yeah, that is some solid.